Right, okay guys, so this is video 3 of the Riley Pathfinder interior restoration that we're carrying out on behalf of Practical Classics. And this is the stage now where we're going to be doing all the prep work. Once we've done the prep work, we can then go to stage 4, which, as you'll recollect from stage 1, which we need to redo the softening process because this is so delicate. But we've got some fantastic news on the results of this so far. Previously, I wouldn't be able to do this, but now I can quite comfortably press this quite hard. So I'm really pleased with the softening process that's happened. It really is fantastic. Even here, where it's quite brittle, I don't, even where it's got tears, I don't mind pressing this now. The softening process with the LRC20 has worked exceptionally well and softened these perfectly. So we're going to be able to get them softened a great deal more once we've got this surface colour removed off here. You can see with the age of this thing, you know, there's a lot of surface colour off this already anyway. But we're going to get the surface colour removed off here now. Then we can obviously get on with the next stage, which is stage 4, is to re-soften the interior once again. And then we're going to be able to go on to stage 5, which is fixing all the tears, filling all the scuffing and cracking and stuff like that, and sorting out all the sort of areas here which is very, very rough, which we're going to do with fibre binder. Fibre binder does exactly what it says. It binds the fibres back together again to give us a nice stable finish on the surface so that we can recolour. So we're going to use a water-based leather prep. We no longer use a solvent-based, trying to look after the environment and reducing our carbon footprint. It also is much better and healthier for people using this as well because it's just an irritant label on the back, as you can clearly see here. But it is fully 100% water-based, so it's very, very eco-friendly. It's ultra-safe for your leather, and it's ultra-safe for our environment. So it's great for your health as well. So obviously, I'm going to be wearing gloves because it is still an irritant. So if you do have any form of like sort of skin irritations or conditions, please do put on gloves to do anything that you're going to do, you know, to work on them. So we use the red Scotch pads, and we've just got some old terry toweling here that we're going to use to wipe away some of the colour on the surface. So we're just going to spray onto the surface like so and just gently rub over. This may sound very, very harsh, but obviously it is going to sound harsh because the leather is quite rough, but also you've got to remove some of this colour on the surface. So you've got to rub over the surface here to do this. We're not going to remove every single ounce of colour, but we are obviously going over to a maroon colour with this, so we've got to make sure we do remove quite a fair bit. But because of the delicacy of the leather, we've got to be very careful exactly how far we go with the prep stage, because what we don't want to do is to create more damage and then more problems, you know, for that stage. And you can sort of see all the paint is coming off there already that's on the surface here. This would be, I would imagine, an original Connolly leather interior. So we've just got to just keep going to remove the paint on the surface. It's not an easy job by any means. It's quite a task to it, but you can clearly see there that the colour is coming off. The whole idea of the prep stage is to give it, you know, is to prepare the leather ready for the new colour to be applied to the surface of the skin that's on the seat here. So you've just got to make sure that you get it bonded enough to ensure that it's got good adhesion on there for when the new colour goes on. And that's all that really matters. You can see it pulling away all the colour here now perfectly. So it's certainly doing its job and getting it. It's also going to, what it's also going to do is obviously where you've got all these sort of rough areas here, it's going to help smooth these out as well to save less sanding taking place with sandpaper, which obviously the more you sand, the more you're going to reduce the sort of grain down. And you can see all the colour coming off there now, and it's getting back to its sort of normal state. You can sort of see all the colour now is transferring to the cloth as well. So you just got to keep proceeding with that and just keep going with it. It depends whether your seats have already been recoloured at some stage with a solvent-based product. If they have with a solvent-based product, then it's going to be a lot harder to remove the coating that sat on the surface of the skin. But we've just got to just keep going over here and removing this as much as we possibly can to get it into a stable position so that we can then start obviously fixing all the issues with the scratches and the scuffs, the holes and the tears, and then we can start recolouring, which will be obviously further along in this series of videos for this Riley Pathfinder for Practical Classics. Just got to keep prepping over the surface. You can see it's continuing to pull out loads of colour, which is exactly what we wanted. And once we've done this, it's going to obviously leave the leather feeling a lot softer as well, and then we can do the softening process as well. keep rubbing it over, and you're going to eventually pull all the colour off, or the majority of it anyway. But you can see there we've got a little bit more colour coming off there as well. And you just got to keep going with it and just keep reducing that down. You can see this has got like a bit of a crazing on the surface here with this colour. It's probably because it's maybe a solvent-based product that's on here that's doing that, and maybe potentially it could have had cross-linkers in it at some point, which, you know, they can go off and create this crazing as well, which obviously is never a good thing to use, the cross-linkers. They're great for hard wearing, but they can create other problems, which, you know, people won't obviously let you on to, other than they're great for hard wearing, but they do create additional problems, you know, down the line for leather items like this. Just keep on going over the surface, and as you can see, it's preparing that beautifully and getting all that colour to be removed. And that's all that we're going to do to the whole item, you know, using the LRC20 and the red Scotch pads. It's just to take all this surface colour off the surface here. Over the whole seat, obviously we've got this seat to do, the front seat, and we've got the back seat to do as well, but it's just to remove the surface colour, as you can see here. Beautifully, you're going to leave some of the colour on there. You don't need to remove every single ounce of the colour, as you can clearly see here. We've got some of the colour still on there. Quite a fair bit of it's been removed. We're probably going to take a little bit more off there yet, I should think, but we'll do that in another video for you, and you know, you can see that as it'll get joined to the back of this video when we post it anyway, so you'll be able to see all that. You know, as we've done all that, it'd be like a speeded up version as we're doing the whole seat. So thank you very much, guys. We hope you're enjoying the video series. So we're going to give this another go, like we said at the end of the video here. Obviously these two are joined together, so that may sound a bit weird saying at the end of the video here, but we're going to just carry on giving this another go over. And all it is just basically, with this particular one, you just want a little bit more pressure applied on here to remove this surface colour. And you can see that, you know, this is coming off now with the additional pressure that I'm putting on there to remove the paint. And you can see that it's all melting the paint on the surface as well. Look. So that's exactly what we need it to do, is to remove that paint on the surface, which you can clearly see, and it's actually doing that. And if we come around here, you know, where we are now, you can sort of see how it's taking all that paint off the surface perfectly, so which is exactly what we need it to do. And we're nearly at the stage where we want to be with the actual prep work. So that's obviously where we are now, is where I'm quite happy to sort of leave it at that stage to do the colour changing process on this seat. And because I think if we go any further, because of how old this seat is, and the sort of delicacy of the actual leather itself, I think if we start to take more of this colour off, we're actually going to create more of a problem than we are good. So we've got to be very careful with the prep stage, which is obviously the most important part. So you've got to make sure you prep properly, but it is the most important part. And as you can clearly see now, we're certainly getting down the leather now to the leather where we ideally want to be, where we can then give it a very light sand with like a 320 grit sandpaper, so that we can then level out any issues once we've put in the fillers into these cracks. That's when we're going to use the actual sandpaper. We're going to put in flexi filler into these cracks. Once we've done that stage, after the softening process, we'll put flexi filler in there, and then we're going to use a 320 grit sandpaper to sand those out. So you can sort of see there now how much more paint we've taken off, and that's what we're going to do to the whole seat. You can see there that that's really taken the paint off on this particular go. And once we've done that, all this is going to have flexi filler in it, then it's going to have a light 320 grit sandpaper sand over the surface. And once that's done, we can obviously then go on to the colouring stages, which is almost the final sort of thing. But the whole seat's going to be done, and you'll see that, as I said at the end of the other bit, you're going to now see that as a speeded up video of the whole seat being prepped later on. Thank you very much, guys.